Ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of amusing. The punishment for not abiding by a gag order or a ruling by the judge to remain silent, to not speak about a case that you're fighting or that you're engaged in, that is 30 days in jail or a $1,000 fine. So that's just one of the... What is the punishment for violating a gag order? If so, the party could be held in contempt of court, which in New York carries a punishment of $1,000 fine or 30 days in jail. If the judge implements this order and tries to prevent Trump, because at any point the judge could do so, he could silence, through the Democratic Party could silence their direct political rival, eliminating his First Amendment rights by an order from the judge stating that Donald Trump, a man everybody wants to hear from all the time, 24/7, even the people who despise, especially the people who despise him, cannot speak. This would be blocked essentially by the Secret Service, and here's why. They're not going to be able, I'm assuming, this is an assumption, okay? Because we've seen no mugshot, no walking to the courthouse, no, not even a crime, actually, not a federal crime within the indictment. We don't really know what the underlying crime is, just like we've never really known what the underlying crime was with the Mueller probe. And what did he do? What did he do? The DNC emails showed that Bernie Sanders was cheated by Democrats. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign, then promptly worked for the Clinton campaign. Then Clinton and the DNC were fined for purchasing the Steele dossier with campaign donations. Trump was never an operative of another country. He never pressured anybody in Georgia, although they'll probably try to get him there. He never mishandled classified data. He was a president with the power to declassify. They might get him on obstruction there. So if they accuse him, level the government machinery at Trump, and then say, oh, well, you obstructed our attempt at tormenting you. But legally, most people would have to abide by a ruling to stay quiet. I think the Secret Service would never let this happen. It is not, this would be viewed as something that couldn't be upheld by the Supreme Court even. The Supreme Court would look at this. They would, if New York wanted to make a spectacle, the judge would rule Trump could not speak about the case. Then Trump would continue speaking about the case because he just happens to be the far and away the front runner for the GOP nomination. So he's protected by the Secret Service even in prison. I read an article recently. Let's say he, God forbid, he won't, because the actual people who committed crimes that deserve prison time are on the Democratic Party side. So, but they have media and state prosecutors, and I did a segment on Kentucky and Tennessee state prosecutors going after the Bidens. But if you look, it's really interesting what would take place. Even if Trump were to be convicted or go to prison, which he's not going to, but he would actually have, not in the cell with him, but he would either have a team or one or two Secret Service agents around him whenever he got out of the cell at all times. So he would have Secret Service with him at all times, even in prison. So that then late 50s, Congress passed the law that presidents are protected with the Secret Service for their lifetime. The interesting thing here, ladies and gentlemen, is that they would have to enforce, and hit subscribe to this channel right now, they would have to enforce the judge's ruling, which would be really completely irrational, but they would have to enforce the judge's ruling. I'm just thinking out loud here, sorry. And then they would have to try to arrest Trump for speaking about an indictment that doesn't list a federal crime. So think about the dynamics here. It would eventually go to the Supreme Court, but until the Supreme Court was able to look at it, so you would have probably, 2, 3, 4 months at least, where theoretically the New York judge would say, you are barred from speaking about this. Then he would speak about this, and then the judge could say, well, you're arrested now. You're going to spend 30 days in jail. Good luck trying to arrest Trump. What would they do? Would they fly to Mar-a-Lago? You couldn't at the end of the Secret Service. So then the Federal Bureau of Investigation will get involved, but it's not a... He hasn't committed a federal crime. So eventually the Supreme Court would rule on this, and I don't believe the Supreme Court would side with prosecutors who haven't even charged him with a crime. He's only been charged with misdemeanors that are elevated to felonies. To read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, and other publications, go to hagoodman.com, become part of a newsletter there. And the super thanks is below next to the like and the share buttons. This is a really interesting, and to my new Patreons, thank you. This is a really interesting state of affairs. I don't think people have really thought about. If you understand the dynamics or the protocol or the, or what might happen better than I, please, in the comments section, please go ahead and describe what you think would happen. Because I'm all over the place just thinking out loud. This is actually a fun segment. I don't know if it's coherent, but if Trump is... If the judge issues a gag order and Trump breaks and doesn't abide by the ruling, he's technically then, he could be arrested like anybody else again. But now the issue is he's not going to be going to court. He's not going to be flying back to New York to be arrested because he spoke about a case that he feels, and rightfully so, is obviously political, that doesn't even have a specific crime. It doesn't even have a federal crime. The logistics of trying to get a former president for speaking about a case, the Secret Service would protect him. I think the Secret Service would be a huge obstacle to trying to enforce any gag order. Give me your thoughts below. It's just, you have to understand, the entire planet. See, I'm not vote blue no matter who. I'm definitely not vote Republican no matter what, although I'm conservative about a lot of things. First, Second Amendment. First Amendment, being conservative on the First Amendment means actually you want freedom of speech, okay? It's the Democratic Party and wonderful morally superior liberals who want to censor the New York Post, for example, or the DNC emails, or the truth about, or the Twitter files. You saw the way Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger were treated in Congress. I mean, it's every time the truth about the Democratic Party comes out, it's like they don't want to hear it. They just, silence is censoring the truth is like one of the best tactics advantages that Democrats have. But the interesting thing is their best defense is a good offense. They did commit crimes. Trump did not. Say it again, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat. Trump did not commit crimes. Trump has passionate liberal Democrats going after him while simultaneously these Democrats are protecting Bill, Hillary, mainly Hunter and Joe and everyone around them. Like I said, Clinton servers, highly illegal. That you cannot have servers siphoning classified data outside the U.S. government. I think that Hillary will be the 24 nominee. Hunter, there's more felonies just in one photo of Hunter than anything Trump has ever did in his life. But anyway, give me your thoughts below. Give me your thoughts. What do you think would happen? Hit subscribe right now. I'll be back in 1 hour or so. Thank you.